This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening. Welcome to the Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, December 6th. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast by eMedia on Charter Channel 193 and live streaming on their webpage, easthamptonmedia.org. Councilors or participants in this meeting are gathering hybrid on their order extended until March 2025, which allow us to do so. I remind both the member of the City Council and the public participating remote remain mute until recognized by the City Council President. Also, for the members of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of this meeting unless you are participating in the public speak time or the public hearing. Thank you. This meeting is now called to order. Barbara.
Tony Denham. Here. Salem Derby. Omar Gomez.
Here.
J.P. Kaczynski. Here. Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Here.
Brad Riley.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Owen Zarek.
Here.
Please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will take a motion to approve the minutes of November 15, 2023. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of November 15, 2023. Any further discussion? Seeing none, for those one in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Public speak time. This is the opportunity to the public to address any topic not listed under the public hearing. I will give you 3 minutes. Can you please state your name and address for the record? And let's keep going.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Mojica, and I reside at 14 Clark Avenue. Last November 15, in this chamber, there was a statement made out of context and created an impact on a Black woman, an ethnic group, and a profession. The concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion transcends these cute buzzwords. It involves profound and deep self-reflection. Discussions about DEI are the ones that I am here to talk about tonight. But the non-negotiable aspect is the recognizing the vital role of a school diversity center. When titles of professions are thrown out in public spaces like this one without any context, it can create harm towards it. As we all know, the diversity, inclusion, equity profession in our nation have been under microscope for the past 4 years. The comments, like the one made last November, create more push to eliminate the DEI profession that is so much needed, and minimize the hard work that many people of color have put towards it. For clarification, this position is supervised by the principal, district director, and superintendent. At the time, everything was focused on the students in the building to create a healing and connection with those who were harmed. The AHS Diversity Center requires an actively engaged, equity-aware leader to contribute to creating a positive atmosphere and foster inclusivity. The lack of knowledge on the topic of diversity by the district administrators, including principals, create a lot of misinformation between district and community, which brings me to the other statement made that night about heritage celebration. That was brought up as less important than the other group celebration, which by definition is ethnocentrism. Taking the words of a Black woman out of context and using them as an example of anti-Semitism create a negative impact toward the great work she made. As leader of our community, we should show respect and educate those who are willing to learn and create change. The city, as articulated on its website, invites individuals to play a large role in shaping Easthampton's civic landscape. The commitment is explicit, advance, and culture of anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Board and committee members are expected to possess the capability to collaborate with a diverse range of identities, culture, backgrounds, and ideology, shaping the civic landscape, influencing how individuals perceive others, emphasizing a shift from mere tolerance to a demand for acceptance. I and the city advocate more moving beyond a live and let it live attitude, asserting the importance of demanding acceptance. The School Diversity Center plays a crucial role in educating students to not only tolerate, but actively accept and appreciate differences. Tolerance is described as a fair and permissive attitude based on the golden rule, while acceptance involves recognizing different without attempting to change, struggles against, and withdraw from them. Let's not turn this into a trauma where we are competing who is suffering with disenfranchisement or religion exclusion. No need for a tug of war or who has a word. Instead, how about we collectively decide to embark on a venture of learning about the diverse community, both those that are absent and present, that make up our city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, good evening, City Councilors. I'm Jeff Bagg, I'm the Planning Director. And I wanted to come to public speak time tonight to talk about a couple just quick items, but mainly it's about the intersection at Parsons Street and Ferry Street. It's a topic that many of you are aware of. There's a problematic intersection, and there has been some discussion at the Public Safety Subcommittee. And I wanted to kind of use this opportunity to give the councilors a little bit of information. Sometimes projects move a little bit faster than we might expect. And so we have a small project that's underway that's going to start probably next week. And I wanted to give you guys some information because I realize that you're out in the community and hearing from people as well. If you're on Parsons Street and looking to turn left, that's the problematic view. And we've had a lot of look at it and a lot of focus. But one of the interim steps that the DPW director and I and the mayor have talked about is a small thing that we can do that should make a small improvement is better than nothing. On top of the retaining wall that goes down Ferry Street is a dilapidated chain link fence, and that is a city-owned fence. So what we have done is the planning department funded an updated survey of that retaining wall, and we found that we can move that fence 2 feet back. And in talking to Mr. Nuttleman, the fence is in disrepair. It needs to be replaced. So the planning department is going to fund the replacement of that fence 2 feet back from where it currently is, and Greg and his crew are also going to remove this kind of a random brush pile on top of the wall. And so his crew is going to remove that. And this is something that's kind of minor that we can do to try to make that intersection a little bit safer in the interim. So that should start next week. And I just wanted the councilors to know that this is happening. This is one of the most discussed intersections if you're on social media. So I wanted you all to have a little bit of that information. And then in terms of bigger picture, there's a continuous development on Ferry Street, the One Ferry Street project. That project is a private project, but it's moving towards potentially incorporating affordable housing on the east side of the canal. And the big picture that we're looking to paint over the next couple of years is there is infrastructure grant dollars available for projects that support affordable housing. So the permanent solution that we would like to see over time is moving that retaining wall back. It's very involved, it's complex, but it would fix the intersection once and for all, especially turning left. And the opportunity would be there to put a sidewalk down that same side as the retaining wall, which would then connect all these neighborhoods. So we're taking this interim step because Greg and I and the mayor we all thought we should try to do this, and it might make that intersection a little bit safer for the interim time. And then just quickly, we have a really big focus in that neighborhood. So we have a $300,000 municipal vulnerability preparedness grant that's looking at Emerald Place. There's some issues with erosion. That whole side is slowly eroding off, and so that is design plans to fix that embankment and fix that sidewalk. That includes a potential pedestrian bridge over the canal, which is kind of a missing piece of that puzzle. And then we have $1 million from CDBG to explore infrastructure upgrades in all of New City. And then through CPA and another source, we're adding on $200,000 to design the 2 parks in New City. So sort of all of these things combined will really benefit that whole area over time. And then next week, at your next meeting, you'll be getting a presentation on a project that we have for the Pleasant Street Mills. where we are finishing up a project to start looking at the entrances to the mills and a vision for that whole neighborhood, mainly behind the mills, so the Millside Park and that area. And then the last thing is that the Climate Action Plan is having the last public meeting tomorrow night. So I'm just hoping people will come to that. So thanks for letting me kind of explain some of this during public speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for the good news, too. Anyone else? Anyone who's participating remote? Seeing none. Okay, moving. Communication from elected officials, Councilor Sarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Let's, Jean?
Class D. Turn on camera. Class E.
Hello?
Yes?
Sorry, I couldn't find my raise hand button.
Don't worry.
I just want to support what Cindy said about the comments made last week or on the 15th about the Diversity Center. I was dumbfounded when that was said. So thank you very much, Cindy, and I hope the council is taking this in and that the Diversity Center is really looked at and how important it is in this community. Thank you all very much.
TV. Raise hand. Control plus H.
I don't know what's that. Thank you, Jean. Yeah, now communication for elected officials, Councilor Sarrett, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so first of all, I just really wanted to thank the council for the space that was created last meeting for that conversation around our resolution. It was a very emotional and difficult meeting for many people, including myself. I did receive some feedback from the public about the meeting. I just wanted to share so that we can optimize how we proceed and our procedures here at the council. So one of the things that was brought up, and I actually just want to say first off the bat, I think the president did a very good job informing people of how we run the meeting. But the way that public speak ran around eventually presenting a resolution was complicated for the public to understand. And again, I think the public did a good job explaining that. But it made me start thinking a little bit about how to tighten that up in the future for other non-binding votes where the public has an opportunity to speak. A few people left. They thought we weren't voting. Someone had told me that they took the day off to prepare public remarks and left thinking that we were actually putting it off to another day. And I don't think it's anything necessarily that we did. I think, it was very clearly stated publicly. But I have some ideas, and I'm happy to talk to people outside of here about that, how we can improve that in the future. There were some concerning remarks, too, that given the gravity of the topic and how, I think, emotional and vulnerable a lot of people made themselves, there were some things going on in the room that a number of people all commented to me about that made them feel very dismissed and disrespected, given the topic and gravity. And I know I'm being vague, but I just wanted to point that out, that was not just one or two people, it was multiple people there. And I'd like to have some opportunities again outside of this meeting to talk to counselors about that and explain that a little bit more. I think with a topic that is already very powerful for people, creating more anguish on top of that can be complicated. I want to acknowledge that since this last meeting, 3 young Arab Muslim men were shot in Vermont. And I understand that this is being investigated, but 2 of them were wearing keffiyehs. And I think it's at least reasonable to come to the conclusion, or at least a very strong assumption, that they were targeted because of their very clear expression of religious and ethnic identity. And we just had this conversation, the mayor just spoke about this. We have to continue to fight and reject this type of hatred and continue to be unified in our message for all people, especially now when Islamophobia is at such a concerning level. And so we enter a time when celebrations are held by many cultures and beliefs. Hanukkah, solstice, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Yule, or other, and just to recognize that we're all children of the same earth, and my hope always is that we strive to respect, understand, support each other, and wishing all people of all beliefs or no belief and cultures a meaningful and joyous time of year. Thank you to the organizers and donors for our beautiful holiday lights. I know Mr. Pat Bruff worked very hard on that with a lot of other people as well. If I knew their names, then I would say them, but it's really nice to see them sparkling. I just want to acknowledge that Hanukkah begins tomorrow at sundown and then continues for 8 nights. I encourage people to reach out to their Jewish constituents to get an understanding of how they each experience the meaning of the holiday. Jubilation's been moved to Friday at Millside Park at 5:30. It's always a really joyous event. And this year's Hanukkah lighting is also at Millside, but on Sunday, the 10th, because it looks like it's going to pour all day. Just wishing you all a wonderful holiday season here at this table and beyond. And that's it, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor Denham.
I just want to make another announcement that we're organizing a municipal leadership academy. Applications are on the I almost said university, on the city website, and applications are there. Turn them into the city clerk's office by December 14th. It is, again, an opportunity for 15 to 20 people to meet face-to-face with departments, learn about budgets, learn about the operations of those various departments. And so it's a really great educational opportunity for people who are interested in serving on various committees or getting involved in the city to learn about the different responsibilities, functions, et cetera, of the city departments. And so I really strongly encourage folks to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, for those who are in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a $12,848 interdepartmental transfer. This is to cover the budget for the hiring of a sealer of weights and measures person, Mr. John Frey, who works for City of Easthampton. We always contract out this work. Unfortunately, the budget line was not included in June, and as a result, there was no money in the budget for it, so the reserve fund is there, which acts like a department to allow funds to be transferred to the budget line for this. The sealer of weights and measures is very important. They check all of the scales in town, including the gasoline measurements, the weigh machines at your grocery stores, everything. So it's extremely important. The Finance Committee approved this 3-0.
Any councilor have any questions or comments? Is anyone from the public, they have any questions or comments about this transfer? Seeing none, Councilor Rist.
I apologize. I move that the City Council approve an departmental transfer. The amount requested is $12,848 to be transferred from the reserve fund. $12,848 to be transferred to the sealer and weights and measures line. $12,848 for the purpose of paying the City of Northampton for contracting out John Frey, the sealer of weights and measures.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for interdepartmental transfer of $12,848 to pay the City of Northampton for contracting our service for the sealer and weight and measures. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. I will take a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public hearing. For those who are in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Mayor's communication, Mayor's not here. Correspondent from the President and Vice President, I do have a few. The first one is that we have the results of the election, the past election, especially for the question that was on the ballot about using ranked choice voting. The percentage of the people who vote in favor was 60%. People against it was 37.14%, and 2.89% was blank. So 1,722 people vote yes, 1,066 people say no, and 83 people leave that blank. The second item that I have for the councilors tonight is the next year calendar. I don't know if everybody take a look of it, but we have a rule. Our rule said that our meeting is going to be Wednesday, the first one, the third one. For that reason, I will take a motion to suspend that rule.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rule. Any further discussion? Seeing none. For those one in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. We need a motion to approve the calendar. If everybody.
So moved.
I'll second, even though I'm not here.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 2024 calendar. Any further discussion? Councilor Sarrett.
Mr. President, the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah falls on Thursday, the 3rd of October. It starts the night before at sundown. And so I don't know if it's, I would either, I won't be here. If the council so desires to move the meeting to a different date to accommodate Jewish constituents, I would suggest that. I don't know if October 1st works, but I just wanted to at least make the council aware. But I won't be attending if it's on the 3rd or the 2nd.
It would be better to keep it the Wednesday?
Well,
Or?
it technically starts at sundown.
Sundown, yeah, so.
I don't think Tuesdays are good up here.
Yeah,
But I
so
can
we can
simply just-
keep it the 3rd, and then if we can move it,
I mean,
we
moved it to
move
the
that,
3rd
you know.
to prevent the 2nd.
Well,
So
yeah, I should have
it's
been more, it's so, I'd say maybe we can have but that's a long ways off. So
Okay,
maybe we can
so leave it like this, and then we can decide.
Good to set it, though. 'cause
All right,
We have a motion.
and, yeah, we have a motion and a second for this one in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Abstentions? Motion passes. We approve the calendar for next year. The last thing that I have from me is the minutes. We have 2 extra weeks, 3 maybe. So if you can set up a meeting just to approve the minutes, Barbara will be so happy with us. So please do. That will be it. With that, I will finance, Councilor Rist.
Yes, Mr. President, we will have a meeting on the 13th at 5:15. It'll be a hybrid meeting to discuss the 2 items that will be sent to committee under new business. That is all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Rist. Public Safety, Councilor Sarrett.
We don't have anything scheduled. I would have liked to had a review with particularly the police department, maybe other stakeholders about the new hate crime policy that was developed. Schedules didn't allow it, and so I think that could be discussed next term, whoever is chairing or on that committee. I will figure out when we can meet, even if it's briefly, to approve minutes. I think there's 2 meetings we need to approve. I'll double
I
check.
don't have any minutes for public safety.
We can talk about that later.
I'll talk about that, because I thought the clerk had sent you, we'll talk about that offline.
Okay.
That's all I have for now.
All right, thank
That
you.
concludes.
Appointments, Councilor Riley.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. So it is that time of year again. We are reappointing folks. And for a variety of reasons, I have to do a little bit of complicated motions here. So I will try to be as brief as possible, but please be patient with me as I get through this. All right, so the appointment committee meeting happened this Monday, December 4th at 6 p.m. We had before us mayoral appointments, a city council president reappointment, and then 41? Oh, right, yes, 41 mayoral reappointments. So the first thing to address is the mayoral appointments. So the committee met with Genevieve Goldleaf, who is being appointed to the Bees Committee with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2025, and Anita Luce Brown to the Manhan Rail Trail Committee with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2024. Normally, I would like to expand more upon each appointee's background, but for the sake of saving time. So Genevieve Goldleaf is an ecological designer. And so specifically her specialty is looking at how to design ecological landscapes within urban settings that account for things like climate change and food resiliency. We had a really great conversation about her experiences and how she wants to contribute to the city. I'll just say that she's brilliant. She has a lot of experience and a lot of ideas. I think she's going to be a fantastic addition to the Bees Committee. And, you know, if we so appoint her tonight, then we will have all members accounted for. So then the committee will officially be up and running, which is great news. Also, Anita is a former school teacher. I want to say, what did she say, 8th grade science? I can't remember the grade, but a science teacher, also equally as brilliant. So we had a lot of conversations about, disability, accessibility, and safety concerns about getting on and off the Manhan Rail Trail. Concepts like how to utilize the trail for alternative modes of transportation to get cars off the road, and then also the potential for, education groups with the school to go along the trail, talk about the community's history, the community's future, and just all of the things that exist along the Manhan Rail Trail. So both terrific conversations with those folks. So we did also have Josh Rosenblatt and Cassie Eckhoff to be appointed to the Energy Advisory Committee. They did not make the meeting, and I know that the mayor is not here today. I reached out to the mayor's office to try to get some sort of letter of support that discusses why she chose to appoint them. I did not get that information as of this time. So the question before us for these 4 folks is, do we want to do all 4 in one motion and approve it, or do we want to have a brief conversation about the appointments of Josh Rosenblatt and Cassie Eckhoff?
Before asking the other councilors, I just want to let the councilors, the committee approve all 4, 3-0.
Yes, yeah. We decided that it was fine to approve the 2 appointees to the Energy Advisory Committee. Part of the reason for that is, the mayor's office obviously does some vetting when it comes to appointees. And in terms of the consequences of appointing people to certain committees, there are obviously some, like, the planning board or the Board of Health, that actually make really impactful institutional decisions for the city. The Energy Advisory Committee doesn't have that sort of capacity. So we didn't feel that it was necessary to have to go through that process in order to move them forward. The last point that I'll make about appointing folks if we haven't met with them is that we also have the rule in place that if members of committees are absent for 3 meetings, that is, that they don't participate, then the mayor can recall them from their positions. And this is a stance that we've started to utilize within the community, and we intend to do that going forward. So
Let's do two motions.
Do two separate ones? Okay, perfect. All right. So unless there are any questions, I move to appoint Genevieve Goldleaf to the Bees Committee with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2025, and Anita Luce Brown to the Manhan Rail Trail Committee with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve those two new appointments. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those one in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Riley.
All right, and then I move to appoint Josh Rosenblatt and Cassie Eckhoff to the Energy Advisory Committee, both with term expiration dates of December 31st, 2025.
I have a motion and a second to approve the other two new appointments. Any further discussion? See Councilor Denham. Then you.
This was something we discussed last night. I think this is an ongoing concern issue with our appointments process. We need to really consider and think about accessibility in terms of why it is that individuals didn't respond. Did they not respond because their communication process, access is not through email, et cetera? And so I just want to point out that I think that we have to, again, we have to work on that to really think about how we make our process more accessible. So I just want to, that was a conversation that we had last night in terms of just thinking about how people, how we communicate with people and people's accessibility needs.
Thank you. Councilor Rist.
I just want to say I thought the chair made a great point in discerning that the Energy Advisory Committee is not a regulatory committee like the Health Department or the Planning Board or something like that. Mm-hmm. If these were members of boards like that, then we couldn't vote on them because you didn't know. These are new appointees, they're not reappointees. Mm-hmm. But they're volunteers working to advise on a committee that might meet once a month if it does. And I think you made the right call in voting to have them be on the committee, because it's very important to understand the level of authority our committees have. And that's very important, Counselor, that you brought that forward. Again, if they're a regulatory committee member being appointed and not being interviewed or making contact with you, I would have probably asked you not to even vote on them. Or we would deny it, because those are important committees. But I just want to thank you for that, because it's very important the public understands there's two different types of committees, advisory and regulatory. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reese. Any other councilor? Councilor Sarek.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I trust the opinion and process of my colleagues, and you sat in a meeting and had this conversation. I think when we've talked about similar issues in the past, the concerns have been brought forward to make us think more if we feel comfortable on a vote. And I think, at least from what I'm hearing, that it's pretty unequivocal that they're comfortable with these appointees. So I don't have an issue.
Thank you. Any other councilors? For those one in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Riley.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. And then I will actually turn to you now, because we have the next motion will be for Greg Rowland to be reappointed to the CPA committee with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2026. And for the public to understand, this is a city council president appointment. So, Mr. President, if you have any remarks that you want to give.
Thank you, Councilor Riley. And because we have the chairperson of the CPA, I will pass it to him.
Greg Rowland is an incredible member of our committee. His tenure on the committee has been so invaluable, primarily because he is a financial expert, having been the controller for Deerfield Academy for all his years there. And he gives us great advice. Recently, we talked about city space and whether we should bond or not, and his invaluable knowledge of bonding and educating our committee. Greg Rowland is the kind of knowledgeable volunteer that I am so happy is continuing to be appointed to the committee, and I urge our colleagues to please reappoint them. He's valuable.
Thank you. For those reasons, I reappoint him. But and by the way, he still wanna be in CPA. I have a conversation with him, and he wanna keep be part of the CPA and help at any capacity that he can.
Is that a motion?
No, not yet.
All right, so then I move that the full city council reappoint Greg Rowland to the CPA committee with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve that appointment to CPA. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, so now we are going to move on to mayoral reappointments. First note that I want to make, and this was actually caught by Councilor Gomez in our appointment committee, we have a slight clerical error. The advertisements for the city council agenda say that these terms expire December 23rd, 2026. It is actually correct that the term expires December 31st, 2026. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, every one of us
Yes.
missed it except for him, so.
Such
Kudos.
inexperienced
Don't worry.
city clerks.
Wow, that was bold.
All right. So the next technicality that we have to focus on here is we have two folks who are being reappointed to positions that have familial relations to some of our city councilors. So we will do each reappointment separately, and then the family member can abstain from that vote. So the first is the reappointment of Elizabeth Rist to the Board of Health with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2026.
Second. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the
Yeah, I
reappointment.
moved to do that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
second.
sorry.
I got it, yeah. Any further discussion? Seeing none, for those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention?
Abstention.
Motion passes. Councilor Riley.
All right, thank you. And then next, I move to reappoint Cynthia Kwasinski to the School Building Committee with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to reappoint Cynthia Kosinski. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention?
Abstain.
Motion passes. One abstention. Councilor Riley.
All right, thank you. So the next motion here is going to be a little bit of a long one. All of these terms are December 31st, 2026. So I'm going to read the name of the person and the position in sequential order. So I move that the full city council reappoint Scott Kavanaugh to the CPA committee, Jackie Brousseau Pereira to the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership, Kayam Jamrog McQuaid to the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership, Kate Bannigan White to the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership, Benjamin Breger to the Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership, Jerry Page to the Agricultural Commission, Megan Fowler to the Agricultural Commission, Eli Damon to the Commission on Disability, Angelique Baker, Commission on Disability, Jeffrey Brown, the Commission on Disability, Sarah Carr to the Conservation Commission, Crystal Cody Stotes to the Council on Aging, Kathy Schweitzer to the Council on Aging, E. Maud Hawk-Frenshow to the Easthampton City Arts, Maureen Beliveau, EDIC, Gwen Morrissey, EDIC, Thomas Brown, EDIC, David Kutcher, EDIC, Nora Dejazu to the Historical Commission, Tracy Harris to the Historical Commission, John Lazito to the Manhan Rail Trail Committee, Carolyn Anderson to the Parks and Rec Commission, Kenneth Ivecchia to the Planning Board as an associate member, Colleen Delvecchio to the Public Library Association of Easthampton, Jackie Brousseau Pereira to the Registrar of Voters, John Atwater to the School Building Committee. Actually, we'll just do this. Judith Averill, David Boyle, Patrick Bruff, Thomas Brown, Maren Goldstein, Deborah Luznia, Larry Carnes, and Shannon Dunham also to the School Building Committee. Francis Perrier to the Veterans Council, James Hickson to the Veterans Council, and then Anthony Corella to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Matthew Matthew Waugh, thank you, to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and then Timothy Garceau to the Zoning Board of Appeals as an associate member, all of that in the form of a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 39 reappointments. Any further discussion? I just have one question for the public. Why we still have this school building committee?
Yes, that's a good question. So,
It's the same thing.
so obviously the school building is complete. We have, everybody's in school there. So essentially, the school building committee should exist for at least one more term, and that's in case anything comes up that could potentially relate to the school. So maybe there's a missed bill, or maybe there's some sort of a detail that gets uncovered that hasn't been addressed. This at least creates the institutional framework for people to address the issues should they come up. So there's no expectation that these folks are going to be meeting on a regular basis. Should they need to meet, it still exists. So that's essentially the answer.
Thank you, Councilor Riley. Anyone else? For those one in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Riley.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. So the appointment committee is going to meet next on December 20th at 5:30 p.m. So just a few moments before City Council meeting. And it's going to be right here, conference room number 2 behind City Council chambers. Brief administrative meeting just to approve some minutes and do some end of the year tasks to close out the calendar year. And with that, that concludes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Riley. Ordinance, Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Ordinance Committee has not met since our last meeting, but we are going to be meeting this coming Monday, December 11th at 6 p.m., where we're going to be discussing, I believe, the Ordinance Review Committee's final report, as well as the LED.
Salem said just the sign ordinance.
Just the signs? Okay, great, just the sign. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about.
Number 1, right?
Yes.
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 So that concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. Property, Councilor Kuczynski.
No report.
Rules, Councilor Rest.
Yes, the Rules Committee will meet for the purpose of approving the last minutes for the year at 5:30, right here in these chambers, since the other room is being occupied.
December 20th.
On December 20th.
5:30. Let's
If you
conclude.
can make it, JP, but it's okay.
Let's conclude.
Let's conclude, yes.
Thank you. All business. We still have the request from City for Councilor Denham to review the council rules regarding City Council meetings. Councilor Denham, do you want to add something to this?
I do not at this time.
Want to keep it on the agenda?
Sure, we can keep it there for now.
All right, keep it there. New business. Councilor Rist.
Yes, I make a motion to send to Property Committee the poll location request by Eversource.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to send to the Property Committee the poll location request by Eversource. Any further discussion? See none. For those one in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
Request to accept MGL Chapter 41, Section 108P. I move that that be sent to the Finance Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to send the request to accept MGL Chapter 41, Section 108P. Any further discussion? Seeing none. For those one in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Rest.
I move that the request to consider the special act to implement multi-winner ranked choice voting be sent to Rules Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to send to the Rules Committee the request to consider a special act to implement multi-winner ranked choice voting. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
We have a mayoral reappointments, 2 of them. I move that they be sent to the Appointments Committee for review.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to send the 2 major reappointments to the Appointments Committee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? Motion passes.
I have a first reading for an interdepartmental transfer. The amount requested is $50,216.40 to be transferred from the PEG access account, $50,216.40 to be transferred to the PEG access account, $50,216.40 for the purpose of giving approval to spend from PEG access receipts reserved account for cable-related purposes consistent with the franchise agreement. I move that this be sent to the Finance Committee for review, as well as a public hearing set for December 20th in these chambers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for interdepartmental transfer of $50,216.40 to the PEC access account for cable-related purposes to send it to the Finance Committee and to schedule a public hearing December 20th at 6:15 at these chambers. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes.
Move we adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstention? Motion passes. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thank you.